Happy Tuesday, or in your case, it might be Wednesday if you're watching this. This is the Power Hour. Thanks for joining us yet again. Hope you had a great holiday. I am, of course, Steve. Of course, joined as always by the urban sensation, the one and only legendary C Red. Hey, Red.
What up?
We have the artist formerly known as Cactus Rack, the Chicago Knockout Rachel. How are you?
Hero, hey, I'm all right.
That's good. We have the real deal. Let's see I'm trying the Outer County
No,
of Rocket Pro Wrestling. Am I right with that one? It's Rion Skills, the real deal. He's got a championship belt.
He's got himself muted right at the moment.
Okay, he's getting this.
I did tell you no that you were incorrect.
What is it, Rachel?
You didn't listen again. Isn't the intercounty?
It's the inner county, not the as opposed to the outer county. I was in the ballpark, but in the wrong section. My ticket was wrong. And of course, our guest tonight is the man that is crash tested wrestling, the one, the only Jed Williamson. Hello, Jed.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Well, I mean, this is your favorite time of year. Some people like Christmas, some people like Halloween. Jed Williamson likes Destiny, as we are.
I love Destiny, but I love every event.
What now?
My favorite day of the month or whatever it lands on. It's my favorite time. Show days.
Destiny is coming. It is Destiny 5, the 5th installment of the time-honored crash-tested show. If there was a bigger show in crash-tested wrestling, it would be called Destiny. This is the big one. This is where the magic has happened. This is where big things have been done. Whether it was in the past or in the recent present, it was the show where two belts became one. As Brubaker fought Marche Rocket, that is big things that happened. I can't believe it was only about a year ago, or it was 2 years ago. God, have we been back for 2 years? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Jed, how the hell have you been doing this for 2 years, man? What a way you've come.
It hasn't been easy, but
No, we'll get
that's what dedication and hard work and just straight up being stubborn will get you. Is that you're like a dog with a bone. You can't let it go, and you just keep moving forward. And hopefully someday you hope that the pieces fall into place and the thing catches on like wildfire, and next thing you know, you're the next biggest thing on the scene.
Well, we are hoping that this is the springboard into bigger things to come. And we're going to talk a lot about Destiny 5 here on this show tonight. We're going to break down the card. It's still a little over a week away. Well, not 2 weeks away. I mean, we are a week.
If you want to be technical, blah.
A week from Saturday will be Destiny 5 in Maryville. So we're going to talk a lot about that show tonight. Rion is got all the shots and pictures from the crash tested shows leading up to this moment. There, of course, are the legends. That is, of course, Ace Bradley and Brutus Owen Wesker, along with the new heartbeat of crash tested wrestling in 1J Thunder. So we've got.
I should tell you right there how desperate I am, because I actually approached Ace Bradley and BOW about rejoining.
I have been preaching it all along. Bring back the monsters, and the fans will follow. But we got a lot of Destiny to talk about tonight, and we're going to talk about Destiny's past. We're going to talk about Destiny's present, and we might even talk a little bit about Destiny future and the role that Crash Tested is on right now. But first, I want to talk with C Red. C Red, we couldn't talk about it on last week's show, but we can talk about it now.
I
Urban sensation was seen in Highland Park. A certain urban sensation was seen on TV. Can you give us a little bit of info, my friend?
No info to give. Yes, I was part of NWA Power. So I'm not on today because I'm telling you, if on. So
is Red frozen, or is that just me?
That's
No,
just
good.
Maybe
it's just you.
Might
It's just you.
might just be me. Well, that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, my
we're missing a
is
picture of Rachel's
disappointing.
beautiful face, but
So, but yes, um, so at some point you will see me manage Chicago's sensation Mario Perdua versus Thomas Latimer, who's
Ooh.
the NWA television champ. So, and in another episode, you will see me manage the Golden Boy and EC3 versus Blunt Force Trauma with Aaron as their manager. So I won't give any spoilers as far as ending of the matches go. When I say a mind-blowing experience, like literally, if it wasn't Jed tonight, I would I would have told you to cancel whoever. Sarah, you're laughing. I'm dead. I'll give you this tidbit.
I'm laughing because I know you're serious.
My agent for the Perdue Latimer match was none other than Dr. Tom.
nice.
So when if I wasn't nervous as shit before walking in the building, when I found that damn part out, I had to clench my butt cheeks because I was right there. But to share a locker room with people that are so much known than me, but yet everybody was there was one incident, but I'll keep that to myself. But people like dude, as big as Mike Knox is, he is cool as shit. Like he was just, "What's up, brother? How you doing, brother?" I'm good. Okay. Everybody was kind. Everybody you can see what a great locker room they have. But again, I haven't done TV tapings in probably 17 years. So to know that it's going to be an all day thing, it's not your indie show where, hey, give me my pay, I'm out of here. None of that shit. You in there for the long haul. I'll give you another tidbit. I felt bad for this guy, right? So I'm in the locker room and I'm sitting at this table. And there's this guy, he's sitting kind of corner from me. And his guy who he was supposed to be managing was supposed to be sitting to my left. And his guy eventually gets up and walks away. And so we start conversing. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm from Maryland. I came all the way from Maryland for this opportunity, And, I'm like, great, okay. And, he's looking like, hey, what time you think we should start getting dressed now? I'm like, well, they ain't had the meeting yet. So, so we have the meeting, so everybody have your meetings because they're very important. And then we sit there and they bring in cater. Great, no problem, right? But I don't know if I'm supposed to eat, so I don't touch shit. So we're still sitting there, and you got people getting ready. They're getting physicals because NWA 75. Well, the name of the show is Rion is showing is Road to 75. And that is part of the tapings. So the guys and girls had to get physicals. Okay, so you got group people there, and you got a group people behind, in front of me, for catering. And the guy looks over and he says, "Yeah, man, I don't know if we should get dressed now. I think now is the time. I'm gonna go get dressed." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." Never saw the dude again. Like, I don't know if he sat in the audience. I don't know if he was in the car, but he wasn't on the show.
Wow. All the way from Maryland that he no showed the show.
No, he was there, but again, they are very tight knit and organized. And like, people think when I talk about people need to wear their badges, it's not just the talent as far as the actual workers. Everybody that is associated and working for the company needs to wear badges. So I know I got mine, and it is possibly hanging upstairs. But I never saw this guy get one, so I don't know if he was one of the people that when they said, if you don't have a badge, you can't be down here, and it was just crazy. It was a bunch of paperwork I had to fill out. I didn't have mine, trust me, I loved every minute of it. It was one of the greatest experiences in my life. So to get praise from people like Dr. Tom, Aaron, aka Damian Sandow, even the owner of the company, Billy Corrigan. I mean, he knew my work, and knew I would fit right in, and knew what I was doing. But then when you start hearing from the staff, the TV production crew, everybody else, and they're like, "Man, you did a great job. You did a great job." It was like, okay, thank you. I appreciate it, but I drove home and it was just the best feeling in the world. I felt like I conquered the world Sunday, so it was great. You got to see some of the local talent, the national and global talent. Hearing Ricky Morton every 5 seconds crack a joke is the best shit ever. Because you're in your mind and you're thinking about whatever, and he just busts up and cracks a joke. It's like, wow, like, this is life. This shit is great. But then you see all these guys and girls, and it's like, at some point it becomes overwhelming. Like, ooh, shit. Like, do I belong here? Do I? And at least for one night, I felt like I belonged. I felt like I belonged on a national scale, to show what I could do, which is crazy because I've been doing it for 20 years. So it's like, fuck, like, but
That just says that you never know when your opportunity will come by.
no, you don't, but that's one of the things, Jed, that I hate with this new generation of wrestlers is they want every fucking thing now and don't understand that there's a process to this shit, and then some get upset, because, well, why such and such and not me? And it's like, dude, I read something, and I want to say it was yesterday, but it might have been Saturday, but I'm pretty much sure it said yesterday. But to sum it up, It was about you don't know what somebody else, the work that they've put in to get where they are. And we don't, you know, we talk about, you know, like, you know, hell, we'll use Mr. NWA himself, Marche Rocket. Nobody knows the work that he put in. Outside of me traveling with him and being on a lot of shows, you know, and the Soul Touches, nobody knows the work he puts in. Now we can look on his Instagram and Facebook and see him in the gym, but we don't see behind the scenes, you know, who he's reaching out to, who he's talking. We don't know. But yet there's somebody sitting somewhere hating on Marche. Like, I'm better than him. I could do the shit he do. But you don't know the work he's put in for 20 years.
I don't know if there's anybody sitting somewhere that's saying that.
Yeah, dude, you would be surprised.
Yeah, that's crazy talk.
There are
It's not crazy talk. There are a lot of people that think that they get ahead of themselves and they buy, what is it, Rian, you've said they buy into their own hype and they think they deserve things more than others.
That's
So
fair.
you'd be surprised.
And believe me, these are not people that think that Marche is a crap worker. They know he's good. They're just jealous because he made it to NWA, they didn't. So now they're just unleashing their frustrations out on Marche as an innocent victim.
dude, and
Doesn't it seem like more productive to maybe start a conversation with Marche and say, hey, how did you get here? You know?
And here's the crazy part, Rachel. Here's the crazy part, Marche, and you know this for a fact. Everybody on this podcast knows this for a fact. Marche is the most approachable person in the world.
He is.
He will not shit on anybody.
Let me give you a little anecdote about this, actually. Marche's son went to the same Taekwondo school that Hazel did, and we were at the same beach day. We didn't know until that beach day that his kid went there, and he spent almost the whole beach day standing on the beach with Andrew talking about wrestling when he could have been in the water.
Could have been in the water, could have been with his kid, could have spent more time with his family. Yeah. But and it's just not Marche. It seems like, and I know this for a fact, and I'm sure Rian can attest to this. There are people on the local scene, when one guy makes it, whether it's Impact, whether it's TNA, whether it's NWA, even down to NXT and WWE or AEW, for that one person that makes it, there are two people bitching. There are two people bitching, talking about why I didn't get that shot, why I didn't get that opportunity. And again, what work did you put in? Uh-huh. You know, and I'm not gonna say I'm in great shape. I'm not gonna say I'm whatever, but I will say that again, in 20 years, I've done a lot of fucking work. Now, am I doing the amount of work that I used to do, say 10 years ago? Fuck no. No, I'm not trying to hop on planes and fly overseas and all that shit. If it happened, hey, great, right? No problem. But I'm to the point now, again, if opportunity presents itself, I take advantage of it. You know, but what work are you putting into here's I don't know, Rian might know. The NWA tag champs, one half of them, Mecca Wolf 450. When 450 left Puerto Rico, he came to Chicago to stay. If you knew how small he was in size, and as he started to venture off, he got bigger and his skills got better. Now the dude is a fucking champ all over the goddamn world. I can't fucking watch.
This is the My apologies. This is the only time I want to step in here pertaining to this conversation. Mecca Wolf or John Yurt or however you want to call him. He was at PCW for a brief period of time during my first singles run. Uh, he was maybe 180 pounds, maybe. The work that man has put in is absolutely astounding. This is the only time I'm going to mention it because I remember seeing him prior, and the work that man has put in is absolutely amazing, 100%.
And
As
then
I casually get out of here.
as you casually mute yourself. But that's what I'm saying. Here was a cat that decided, okay, I'm ready to take it to the next level. I'm gonna put in the work. And put in the work just doesn't mean let me go hit the gym and lift all these fucking weights. It's about reaching out to people, trying to establish contacts and relationships and building off of those relationships, you know. But we live in a fucked up time where these younger guys are like, I want my shot. Why don't I have WWE? Well, did you reach out to WWE to do extra work? I mean, shit, I don't know how many years Marche, Ali before he got signed. Shit. Think about it. Ali is the prime story. Ali wasn't even supposed to be in that tournament. He was a standby in case something fucking happened. And something did happen. And who got thrown into that slot and won over the fans? Ali. Like, oh shit. It's about putting in the fucking work, but nobody wants to fucking work. Everybody wants to check, but don't want to put in the fucking work.
Gotta do the work.
So, again, for me,
reality TV and social media by letting all these people become globally known and famous by doing no work. So all these kids want to just be like, well, when am I going to get discovered? They just want to sit around, wrestle, and hope that somebody discovers them on their YouTube channel or something.
And guess what? I tell everybody that will fucking listen, and I've said this, and me and you've had this talk before, that wrestling is no different than any fucking sport. You can start out, but once you leave and you decide to go pro and get trained the correct way, now there's all thousands on thousands of people that are in your boot. How do you separate yourself from thousands of people? How? Just like if I'm a basketball, all these kids that want to play basketball, and I never knock any kid's dream, but I also say you need to have a reality check, because yeah, you can be the top star in high school. Guess what? Get to college and you drizzling chicks. Okay, but say you make it through college, right? But now you got to pray on draft night that you're drafted. If you don't get drafted, now you got to go see what camp you can get in and who you can more or less interview to get on a roster. It like people think, oh, I got the skills and I'm just gonna make it. A lot of times skills don't fucking make it, because a lot of people got the skills. And shit, from what I hear about WWE, shit, you can have all the skills you want, but by the time you get up there, if you can't hang with them and the way they do things, it's like, shit. Okay, bye-bye.
I don't want to put down what we do, but the independent level is literally the elementary school level of what we do. And then you have your NWAs and impacts. That's kind of like your middle school. And then you got, well, let's say AEW kind of be like your high school, and then you got WWE, it's like your college. At each level, you're pretty much starting over. You got to prove yourself at every step.
But again, nobody wants to put the work in, Jed.
Nobody
wants to put the work. They just want to get passed along, you know. And that's the sad part. But again, overall, Sunday
I'm so
was
jealous of you.
was a oh my, like I said, it was mind blowing. Even to know that there were fans, of course, because we're in Chicago, uh, Highland Park suburb, you know. Still,
Did you get a C-Red chant?
I did, you know, and it wasn't a big one, but you know, I didn't give a fuck, you know. Uh, even your former referee was there, Carl. You know, I kind of gave him crap, like, "Hey, you didn't get a picture of me, goddammit." He was like, "The TV crew was in the way." I was like, "Yeah, they were. They really were." And that's the thing of having to work a different dynamic of having to work around a real camera crew, not some guy just holding a camera. No, a real fucking camera crew, and they've got cords and lines and shit, and you got to pray to God you don't trip and fall over this shit. And even when and I'll they won't show this part for the Pardua match. Like, we come out, I get him in the ring, and literally as I get in the ring, there's a cameraman that has his own stand right by the ring post. And he's right there. And I'm like, oh shit, this dude is right here. Fuck. Like, okay, if I'm working the ring, I only got really 3 3/4 to work with. But again, it was so much other shit. And you know, there, like I said, you know, for all the good, there was one bad. But again, I'll tell y'all later off air and all that shit. But a wonderful experience. I can cross that off my bucket list. You know, if you know, if they invite me to come back, I'll gladly come back. The bag will be ready. You know, if I never get another opportunity in NWA again, I can't say I didn't work there. I can't. Now, Jed, I won't stiff you and attach NWA moniker to my name and raise my price.
Maybe you ought to, though. I mean, hey, you know, you're an NWA superstar now.
You know,
Gotta pay for that celebrity.
I mean, you got a chant, so
Yeah,
that definitely brings up the price.
I won't be happy until we'll see. You know,
it's at least an extra. Jed, it's at least an extra $5. At least an extra $5. Got to come.
Well,
an extra $5 for it.
I'll tell you what. We'll see whenever it comes out on TV. The match. We'll see, and if
Well, before we go talking about finances, you got something at 7 o'clock, right?
oh, I do. My bad.
Jed.
My bad. That Jed, you ain't shit.
Well, hey, C-Red, we're all so happy and proud of you, and
Yeah.
it couldn't happen to a better person. I'm so happy you got a chance to do it. And I saw the pictures of all the locals that were there, the Missa Cates and the Kevin Woods, the official, and you know, Koa's out there, and you know, all the good people in the area that really bust their ass to make the indie scene in Chicago special. That picture that you guys took, that some of the people took, really made me feel good, because you know,
I was there when they took it. That was supposed to be the CSW picture.
Yeah, well, I mean, those are all bosses people, but
I ain't been in CSW, so I ain't want nobody to get upset. You know,
come on.
CSW original.
We got you to rock it. We're gonna get you to CSW too. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time.
Jed, you hear this bullshit?
Yeah, we're gonna get you. Hey, I play the long game there, C-Red. But anyway, Congratulations. NWA is better with you than it is without you. We're proud of you and we're happy for you. I'm glad it was good. On to Crash Tested Wrestling, because that's why we're here tonight. And Jed, thanks for taking time out of your schedule. I know Destiny season is a hectic one for you. There's a lot of chaos happening at this particular one. First thing I want to say is the graphics that we're using for this particular show are some of the nicest ones I've seen at CTW perhaps ever. So whoever's doing the work on the press has really upped the game because these flyers are beautiful. Brian's got one up there right now. It's just a nice looking, it makes Destiny pop in a way that you know that this is a big show. How you doing? Where are you at with this? What's on your mind as far as Destiny? Because we're almost here and there are a lot of moving parts.
No, absolutely. I mean, it when it comes to running show days, the process is always the same. And leading up to each show, you know, I have certain schedule of what needs to be done when, and we're perfectly on schedule with everything. But when it comes to Destiny itself, it's not so much pressure or anxiety as it is anticipation. Somebody asked me why we didn't have Destiny last year. And to be honest, Destiny, not exactly an annual event. It's an event that is determined by the importance of what's taking place. And I just felt that through Lucked Out and Collision Course that this had to be a Destiny. All of the stars aligned, all of the people that were becoming involved, and what had to happen was big enough to be called Destiny. And that's why it's been 2 years since we had a Destiny, because this one just, I will not put the name Destiny on a show that can literally be called whatever we want to call it. This one screamed, this is your big event. This is the pinnacle of what you've done over the past 2 years. So you have to call this one Destiny. So there is a lot of excitement and anticipation leading into this one.
There's no doubt about it. And when that name is mentioned, I think back to the many previous Destinies. Each Destiny that has happened to this point, for better or worse, has had moments that seem bigger than the business at the time. I remember very clearly back at Destiny 1. It was one of my early shows with Crash Tested Wrestling. And I remember walking into that building, and I believe that was in that giant monster place in Gary, Indiana.
Yes.
And, you know, it was a process to get that place ready to receive what was going to happen. And, you know, you had all kinds of
stuff.
They
had to set up the night before. There was
right.
No on the day setup. They had to go in the night before because they had all of that equipment.
Right. And there, you know, there was, you know, it was a night of crazy happenings and unlikely occurrences. And, you know, there were a lot of big names there. Diamond Dallas Page was there.
You and I were on commentary that night, and we got to call a match with Billy Gunn.
That's when Billy Gunn
that was one of my most memorable moments in the business so far.
Billy Gunn called me an absolute idiot. So early on, I knew what my worth was going to be in this business. But, you know, if anybody's going to call you an idiot, it might as well be badass Billy Gunn. And, you know, he was great. You know, everybody was great. It was one of the longest nights of my life, as it was for Jed as well, for different reasons.
Yes, it was. It was a long night.
I remember being at the venue at 1:30. You know, Gary is lovely, but not at 1:30 in the morning, necessarily. But you know, it ended, and it certainly changed the trajectory of the company, so to speak. So it was a big feel event, and the repercussions of Destiny, both with matches and behind the scenes, it changed the trajectory for the next period of time for Destiny. And then we moved to the following year, Destiny 2. That's where we had Patron versus MVP, which was a big match. And
I was in attendance to that one. Now, just so anybody watching is understanding, I was not a part of Crash Tested at that time. But I was in attendance for that event. And oh my God, I was so proud of that product. I mean, regardless of, what was going on with El Patron in his personal life and whatnot that people were gossiping about at the time, the show virtually from top to bottom was like everything you would want from a wrestling company. And I got to hear my first CTW chant, which, even though I wasn't part of the company, still made me feel so warm inside.
Thanks, Richard. Got to give it up to him. You got to give the devil his due. That chant happened because of that man. Like him or hate him, that CTW chant, I know where that began. So thanks, Rich.
Richard Atkinson. If you're going to tell it right. Richard Atkinson.
I said Atkinson.
Thanks, Rich. Anyway, we move along to Destiny 2. And, obviously Patron versus MVP was amazing, and having Storm and, and Bram there was really cool. But it was, to me, Xavier versus Justice Jones right before Patron and MVP, because I remember Patron and MVP watching that match, and they those were two, Jones and Xavier were two guys that left it all on the floor. That was that was a match that I still remember like it was yesterday. And it was one of those matches that has lasted the test of time. And I remember them, and I remember hearing the stories after it was over. I remember MVP at the bar afterward. Pre-show grudge match. The Kang of the pre-show, living his best life against the real deal. Look at that picture. Man, that's historic. Well done, Rian. Well done indeed. But I remember talking to MVP.
He's pulling some pictures out I wasn't expecting. On top of his shit.
To MVP at the after party, and he's like, "Man, that was a really fun night. I haven't had a chance to work with Patron much, but we were talking as we were watching the match before us, and those guys brought it in a way where, because we're going through it and we're just going to give the fans a fan service match, but watching them work the way they did inspired those two guys to go out and have an absolute banger. They didn't phone shit in. That was a knockdown, drag out fight between Alberto El Patron and MVP. And of course, Paige, aka Soraya, was in attendance, and she watched the match from the stairs leading up to the danger zone, because commentary was on this platform that every time I moved, the thing waved like a building with too much weight on it. It was a scary, scary situation. But Destiny 2 had a lot of memorable events, and it shifted things and changed the direction that company went into the next year.
It made a statement. I mean, real quick, before you move on to Destiny 3, because I know nothing about that one. I was not in attendance on that one, but
you're going to find out that you were the smartest guy in the room.
But real quick, before you move on to 3, Destiny 2 made a statement, because, like you just said, your story about MVP and El Patron feeling like they had to step it up. That said that the roster was attempting to steal the show from these top names that came in.
Yep.
They were like, okay, we brought in MVP and El Patron, and they're going to be in the main event, and they're so well known globally. We need to steal the show from them. We need to make sure that everybody that walks out of this building tonight is talking about us, not them. So that Xavier and Justice Jones, they left their hearts in the ring that night. And MVP and El Patron saw that, and it was one of those The Rock versus Hogan, followed by Triple H and Chris Jericho. They're like, how do we follow that? But these two being the names that they are and the professionals they are, they went out and they attempted to top it. I knew, everybody kind of knew that that's why that was the main event, because they were the two big names. But if you watch that back, or if you were there in person, you can argue that maybe Xavier and Justice Jones should have been the main event that night. And that's making a statement. When your local talent has the crowd saying that should have been the main event, that's an important statement.
That is absolutely 100% true. Aaron Xavier left his neck and his shoulder blades on those chairs in that ring. I'll never forget it as long as I'm doing this. So that changed things, and Jed's right. It brought CTW notoriety. CTW was moving in all the right ways, prior to that, but that was one of those moments that changed things. So we had started to get, people that were bigger started to come down. That's when we started to get the Kylie Rays and, some of those other bigger names that were really hot on the scene. Then Destiny 3 came, and Destiny 3, in theory, should have been really, really good. The person that put it together had really strong ideas on topping everything that Destiny 2 was. And the potential was there, but the man that wrote and booked it had no support from the financial office at that time. And they had other things that they wanted to do, other things that weren't necessarily in the best interest of the company. Eric Bischoff, need I say more? So it just didn't, there was something lacking because the finishing touches weren't allowed to be put where they needed to be. And there were too many cooks in the pot. And that really was the beginning of the end. And
I like to refer to it as the WCW effect.
It really, really
no Bischoff pun there intended.
Yeah. And it ended, it ended, with probably one of the most famous morning afters ever, when Max and Rion got a chance to sit down with Bischoff, and Bischoff, was
that's a once in a lifetime. At our level, that's a once in a lifetime thing. And
it was I paid the money to watch the show. They were, Max and Rion were up to the challenge.
Wow, Rion is on point.
You sure? Well, he always is. The point of that show is Bischoff could have phoned it in, and that was the one moment in the entire weekend. Now, Bischoff was at the CTW award ceremony, which was happening, and he was at Destiny 3, and he was on the morning after. The morning after was the only period of time where I thought Bischoff was even remotely entertaining.
Okay, that's weird.
But
he didn't give two shits about the awards show or the show itself.
Yeah, he sat and watched the award show.
I want you to look at that photo first before you say anything else.
I'm not saying he didn't have a good time, but he didn't, when he came out and was introduced to Destiny 3, he didn't really do much in the ring. He really wasn't involved to any great degree in the show, the way they wanted to use him. And I thought his best was saved for the morning after, because that was really good. That was really entertaining.
Well, look who he was working with. I'm not trying to kiss anybody's ass, but Max and Rion on the morning after, it was always so entertaining. It was just, there was nothing forced about it. There was nothing scripted about it. It was two best friends sitting there talking about what had happened the previous week. And then you put Eric freaking Bischoff in that scenario. You got two kids in a candy store saying, I get to ask Eric freaking Bischoff any questions I want to ask him. So obviously that was going to be a very organically entertaining episode.
It certainly had the potential to be that way. But if Bischoff hadn't been into it, it might not have been what it was. I mean, that might have irritated, Rion and Max if he was just, if he was phoning it in, because, they never phone it in. You know what I mean? So, the potential for disaster would have existed if Bischoff didn't, do what he needed to do, but he was great. And Max and Rion were ready. I mean, it was really good. So for me, the entire Destiny 3 situation, the best of it, all you need to do is watch the morning after, because that was far better than the event. And then bad tidings happened and it went away. Then,
well, let's say that, and not another pun not intended, but let's just say that justice came around.
and that's right. And that's the next point, because this is part of the crash tested history, is Jed Williamson's return and his multiple year fight to get back the licensing and the name from the place that ran it into the ground. Jed, we've never really talked to any great, I mean, we talked a little bit about it.
Briefly about it, I think,
Or sporadically, but this is important in the history of this company, because now you're 2 years into it. And if you hadn't have fought like you did,
honestly, I want everybody on here, and then, except for maybe Rachel, because Rachel didn't know jack 2 years ago about what I was doing. Did anybody think that I would still be trying to plug away 2 years later, or would I have folded up 6 months in because it was too much to handle? And a lot of people thought that I was climbing a mountain that I couldn't climb.
it's absolutely true. I thought you going out and working so hard to retain the name was going to be something that was going to haunt your existence forever. And I was happily wrong.
That's where the stubbornness comes in. I said it at the top of the show. That's where the stubbornness comes in. 2014, I created Crash Tested with somebody else. They flaked out on me 3 months in. Did the deal with He Who Shall Not Be Named. And I thought, come Destiny 1, we'll keep this about Destiny, but come Destiny 1, I thought that my time in Crash Tested was done, and I had no legal standings to do anything about it. So it was either bend over and take it up the tailpipe and take whatever crumbs I was getting from He Who Shall Not Be Named, or leave. And I couldn't keep working in the environment he was setting me up in. So I left. When it came time for him to nut up and do his part of the contract that we signed, he failed. He's like, I'm going to manipulate and I'm going to postpone and I'm going to avoid you for another 6 months so that I don't have to do what I contractually signed to do. So I said, fine. I'm in a better place financially, and I was in a better place mentally for damn sure. I said, I need a lawyer. I'm taking your ass to court. I'm getting my shit. And I swear to God, it was the whole process was hilarious. Listening to him say, "Oh, good luck with that. You've got no legal no legal standpoint to do anything. You have fun with that. You can waste your money on your lawyer all you want. Ha ha ha. Oh, wipe the floor with you." And I'm like, okay, no problem. Click.
How dare you talk of Frank that way?
No, Frank, no. Frank is literally that. Look, anybody watch Dukes of Hazzard?
Yes.
Enos's dog.
Oh, no, Enos didn't have a dog. Roscoe had Flash.
Roscoe's dog. I'm sorry. That's Frank.
Oh, no. Poor Frank.
Hey, he brought it on himself.
Yes,
he
did.
still works with that jack off.
Well, there you go.
Nevertheless,
he's right there with him. Rion's right there with the signs.
I know, he is totally on point. The judge just looked at him and said, hey, you said you were going to pay him the money. You haven't paid him the money. Give him his stuff back. It was that simple. It was like 5 freaking minutes on the stand. And I got everything back. Now, granted, this was right before COVID hit, so I wasn't able to launch when I wanted to. And then I had to take about a year to get the ring all refurbished and curdied up back to brand new, because God knows when I got it back, it was in some rough shape. There it is. He is on point.
It's awesome.
But no, as soon as I got it completely refurbished and everything, started looking for venues. Once I got the venue, started promoting, started booking. Yes, because of where the venue was, some of the people that I booked had canceled on me because of a conflict of interest with another company. I understand that. That was a miscommunication on my part. But the first show went off. And then Steve, you know the rest. You came in back on the second show, which those two were called Destiny Bound. Because again, the story building up to this moment was big enough to be called Destiny. This was my destiny. This has been my destiny long before I started crash testing. I got into business 16 years ago, hell, 16 and a half, almost 17 years ago now. And this is all I've dreamed about. This is all I planned for. This is all I've wanted for 16 years. And to get it started, have it basically taken away from me and have to fight to get it back. That was the story of Bound for Destiny 1 and 2 and Destiny. Was that I was back. I was going to do this no matter the consequences, no matter the outcome, short of, being threatened by divorce. I'm not giving this up. I might not even give it up if I get threatened by divorce, but we'll get back to that. So that's why Destiny in 2021 was so important, because it was, there it is. That was my statement to the wrestling community that I'm going to make Crash Tested what it was meant to be 5 years earlier or 6 years earlier, whatever it was.
Destiny Reborn or Destiny 4, however you choose to look at it. The two Destiny Bound shows were pivotal. I was not at the first one. I made my return to Crash Tested at Destiny Bound 2, which was the night that Marche won the title, and then Brubaker showed up at the end saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, slow your roll. I never lost my title." That is one. Now we've talked about magic Destiny moments, and there have been many. That right there is one of the most holy shit moments I've ever been a part of in this business, because nobody knew Brubaker was coming. Nobody. They kept it secret. So when Brubaker walks in the back of the arena holding that title, and Marche is standing in that ring with his title, if you listen to that call, that is as genuine a reaction as you can get on commentary, because nobody knew it was coming. And if we know a little bit, we didn't know it was going to be that way. So the way Destiny Reborn was essentially a unification. It was the new Crash Tested versus the old Crash Tested to unify the titles, winner take all. So that match between Marche and Brubaker, it kind of signified the end of one era and it handing off to the new era, which is very Destiny. So Destiny Reborn or Destiny 4, it really was an amazing event. And the show was solid from start to finish, like some of its predecessors had been, which was a testament to the way it was booked. So Destiny Reborn was amazing. And now we played it forward, and it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been pretty. The way that it's tracked since then. But here we are at Destiny 5, and you've got a main event for the ages, and that heavyweight title is involved. And the three men that are going after it have basically been the feature players at Crash Tested since Destiny Bound. You've got Mercer. Miles Mercer has been, he has let, and I don't think people give that whole point of it enough credit. When Crash Tested started, he was a guy that only did pre-show matches. You know, he was young, he was new in the business, he was the king of the pre-show. Now he's the perennial championship contender champion guy. He is the top of the heap.
Ain't nothing perennial contender. Miles Mercer is the heavyweight champion in Crash Tested Wrestling. As it stands today, he's got a hell of a challenge ahead of him in a week and a half. But as it stands today, Miles Mercer is the heavyweight champion in Crash Tested Wrestling, which just goes back to what C. Red was saying earlier about putting the work in. Miles has put in the work with Crash Tested Wrestling alone, not including the rest of the companies that he's worked for. But because Crash Tested was technically, he did start with PCW before they closed down in January, I think December or January of 2014.
2013.
Was it 2013? No, it was 14.
Was it 14? I thought it was 13. No, you're right. It was 14.
It was 14 because that's when
December 16th, 2014. December
That's
16th,
correct.
2014. That would be when Ricky Steamboat was the last guest that we had there.
And that was the night that Joe Heisman threw Vic Capri through 27 tables from a balcony onto the floor of that building. 27
Why
tables.
am I not
That's a lot of
surprised?
tables.
Anyway, so within a month after that happened, Miles Mercer and the class that he had been trained with came to Crash Tested Wrestling. They were students. They were barely rookies. They were still students. So most of Miles Mercer's entire wrestling journey was through Crash Tested Wrestling. So he's put in years upon years of work and effort and determination to get from that pre-show to the heavyweight championship. That's the way it's supposed to be in this business. You don't walk in and say, okay, give me a title shot. I've had 6 months of practice. I've had 3 matches. I want to fight for the title. No, you prove that you can do this. Fans want to say it's fake or choreographed or whatever, but there is still so much talent and skill and ability that goes into what we do. And if you can't prove that you can do it at the highest possible level, don't freaking ask to be in storylines and title shots and all this fun stuff. And Miles put in the work.
And that's, what I've been preaching, since I came back. Legacy. Crash Tested Wrestling has a very rich legacy. The history, it's a mixed bag of memories and emotions for everybody. But there is a very specific legacy to what's going on here, from the Destiny Reborn match between Brubaker and Marche, from Miles Mercer going from pre-show to the King of the whole damn show. That's a real thing. That is a legitimate situation. These are legitimate happenings. And that's what makes this important. That's what makes this special. That's what makes this mean something.
Remember, the Chasing Destiny Championship that Nick Diamond is defending against Jay Thunder is the original heavyweight championship from 6 years ago. That legacy of that belt is going to stay with Crash Tested forever. The heavyweight championship may evolve, may be redesigned or whatever. But my intent is to keep the Chasing Destiny Championship the original heavyweight title belt, because that is the legacy it started with.
Perfect. And there it is right there. And that's a big matchup coming up a week from Saturday in Maryville, Indiana, as Nick Diamond puts up his Chasing Destiny Championship against the very, very tough Jay Thunder. C-Red, you've been a member of Crash Tested for a long time. Even the Soul Touches made an appearance in Crash Tested Wrestling. I got to see you dance like C-Red for the first time. I mean, I'd seen you do ARC stuff, but Soul Touch's C Red and ARC C Red are two vastly different animals, and I've seen them both.
Brother, the Conqueror, we've putting our hands
Okay.
on.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're in your emergency meeting. Maybe I shouldn't be talking to you right now.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
As far as then to now, what is your thoughts on Crash Tested?
Can breathe. If you can understand. So that first night, that first Destiny, sucked monkey balls for us.
That was a long night.
And the reason why is, and I'm just gonna shoot. You know, first of all, whoever, and I've had this discussion before, and it's no issue, but the building, the school understood why, but our match, it was the Soul Touchers, me, Jazz, Marsha, versus a young Miles Mercer and Jed, what's the kid?
Desire.
Danny Desire,
David Desire.
David Desire. And we got done and we got dressed just in time for intermission.
And 45-minute, what was it, an hour and a half intermission, whatever the hell it was.
Something like that. But what got me was, so I'm trying to see, you know, where I could set up merch, and I couldn't find anywhere for us to set up merch. So I just kind of just, you know, kept everything, you know, in my arms or whatever. And then I'm standing by the entrance and I'm talking to fans that knew me. And as I'm talking to them, I started to notice that people were walking out the door. Like, they weren't going, oh, okay, I got this 8x10, let me go put it in the car. No, they were leaving. And it was like, wow. So when we got to perform, there's a nice sized crowd. You see what I'm saying? But everybody for the second half, and it was like, that sucks.
Yeah,
like, I felt bad for the boys. So you go forward. I don't remember when I came back. Whenever I came back, it is when we began the ARC. And it was like walking on eggshells because, like, it just felt tense, if that's the word for it. Like, it wasn't that happy-go-lucky locker room like we are now. You know, it was just like so much tension. And you turn around and, like, this had nothing to really do with talent, but it kind of shows just the where-all, if that's what I can say. I forget whatever show who the special guest was supposed to be. And they either no-showed or they wasn't coming or something. And they wound up getting Scott Stark. And me being the vet that I am, you know, again, I'm still going to pay respect. And this dude is all the way in the back. Like, nobody is sitting around him whatsoever. And I went up to shake his hand and I'm like, how you doing? I'm C Red. It's a pleasure to meet you. And he was like, all right, kid. Like, motherfucker, I'm probably a couple of years younger than you. Get the fuck out of here with this shit. Like, okay. Like, he was a straight asshole. And, you know, at least that was my impression. And
Was he Teddy Long bad?
no one.
Teddy bad?
So so you don't know the Teddy Long story?
No, believe that was his first show after I left.
But that wasn't the show, was it, Steve? That
No.
wasn't the show.
No, I think Teddy came in twice.
Right.
Teddy came in twice.
So the second time Teddy comes in, right?
Yeah, that was some shit.
We're the first match. And I forget.
Yeah, Rion is on point, man.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
Vader no showed, so Steiner had to come in.
right. Okay, that's what it was.
That's the one.
I want to say, was it Destiny? What Teddy Long was that?
I don't think Teddy Long was at Destiny 2, no.
No,
Okay,
I was there at that
whatever.
one.
So whatever show Teddy Long was on, and the opening match, I want to say it was Miles versus whoever. I can't remember. And I do what I do. I work the crowd, you know, to get the heat, you know, and like the crowd is eating it up, you know, everything. Like the whole group comes down at first. I send everybody back. Me and Miles got this, whatever the match was. So afterwards, come back to the back. And Teddy Long is standing there. And he's like, all right, guys, good job. But you, Mr. Manager, you could be way better. You need to go back to school and learn some more stuff. And motherfucker, really? Like, you on my turf. Like, oh, so no, that's what it was, Steve. That's what it was.
That's flatline.
It wasn't that night. It wasn't that night. It was the night.
No, that was Teddy's first visit.
Right.
Yeah. Because even Ron Simmons was tired of Teddy's shit at that point. It was this next visit. I forget what the event was though, but yeah,
I don't remember. But what it was it was a tag match. That's what it was. And in the match,
sorry.
In the match, you've got this is when Machine was still around. So Machine and what's the alter ego of Heisman?
Ace Bradley.
Ace Bradley. They come out, right? But Machine has a fucking machete.
Yes, he does.
So Teddy Long thinks
it was a real machete.
I'm supposed to just stand there as the babyface monster starts approaching me with a machete.
You're healed.
I'm healed.
You should be running for your life.
And I fucking did. You're taking away from the performers. So here's where he was talking about. There then becomes a point where I'm cornered in the match. I've got Machine behind me. And Ace is coming up on the side. And they're getting ready to fucking decimate me. And like the crowd sees this shit. And they're like, yeah, get his ass. Get his ass. And I can hear it. Like they want me to get my ass whooped. So I screamed like a little bitch.
My apologies, Red. Was that in Markham?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a minute.
And I can do this officially now, Steve.
You got a timeout.
I got a timeout. So,
you got it here too.
So Ace is coming up, and again, we're not in the finish. So I figured I'm gonna do the best shit possible. I'm gonna scream. That's what it is. Crash Givens. There we go. I screamed like a little bitch, and it was loud as fuck. And I ran and shot out the door. And Ace chased me. And like me and I'm dying my ass off because the crowd has bought this shit. Like they have bit hard. Like they want me to have my ass whooped. Okay.
Not with a machete.
Not with a machete. Turn around, we get to back, and again, he's showing me out like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm taking away from everybody in the ring. And mind you, I believe this was some kind of scramble of some kind. Like 6-person ladder match scramble. Yeah, that's what it was, like a ladder match and shit. And it was like, what the fuck? Huh? You got at least 3 sets of people, groups, doing different shit. Everybody taking away from everybody. We're not trying to take away who's ever in the ring, but at the same time, again, as a heel, and here's 2 babies, and they're monsters. What I'm supposed to do, Teddy?
I'm so confused that he would have that response, because how many times did Bobby Heenan bail out of the ring every time, Matilda or the snake or whoever would, sick their animal or something on him, he'd bail and, bolt for the back. I mean, that's what you were supposed to do.
Dude, I was heated. And I said right then and there, and I told Steve after it happened, I said, fuck Teddy Long. And it was crazy that when all of this came about, and Steve called me that infamous night and was like, hey man, I want you to be my partner on the talk show.
Last man talking.
I was in for it. I was game. I'm there. I'm with Steve. Until he tells me our guest is Teddy Long. And I was
funny part.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
And no, I'm just saying that night, that's what he tells me. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
he was our guest. He was on Zoom.
I'm like, you got to kiss my ass, Steve. I don't know if I can do this. Like driving to the studio.
Yeah, Red was going to leave.
I was not
doing this. Come on, Red.
I was like fired up. But that's when being a professional and doing your job plays, kicks in.
That was right after my original partner, the Macho Ghost, quit because of the shenanigans that went down with the TJ Steele interview.
Yeah.
I'm not working with these fools anymore. And he retired. He left. We were going to keep going. I was obligated.
Called himself the Macho Ghost, but didn't want to deal with wrestlers anymore.
No,
that wasn't it. That wasn't.
No, not at all. No, the Ghost is. I mean, I wish he would come back and he very entertaining.
Yeah, that's trust me.
Oh, I remember. I did your other podcast.
Yeah,
back in the day, I remember him.
So he's really good, but he was alienated by the same people that alienated everybody, and it just didn't work out. So, see, Red, it was a logical choice.
We got way off topic there.
Yeah.
The original question was Red's opinion about Crash Tested, and you said that you could breathe there, and then it just went.
It did, and
thanks, Jed, for bringing that back home.
Jed rolled it back in. Woo! Can you feel it? But he now, I don't feel that tension. I know I'm the vet in the locker room, but I don't never throw my vet card like I'm the fucking vet. No. I think more people are open to opinions. It's easier to work with certain people, versus I believe under the old regime, people had attitudes and and just bad vibes and shit, you know, and now you don't get that, you know, everybody, you know, wants to be there, especially the younger guys, you know, they want to learn, you know, use it as a brand that they can help build and then launch them onto other things. And I'm fine with it, you know. So I'm happy. You know, the locker room for me is better.
Not NWA happy yet, but happy
No,
now.
no, but the you
I
know
know this
I
is gonna
also
be a weird time I'm sorry. I know this is gonna be a weird time to like randomly cut you off. I'm gonna do you a favor while you keep going back and forth. I'm gonna just start putting the card back up and go from there. I mean, keep just know that I'm gonna start rapid firing a bunch of stuff. Just putting that out there ahead of time.
Okay.
but yeah, and I think the crew that Jed has assembled to surround himself is way better than it's ever been. They are guys that listens to each other's opinion, respects each other, and understand what we're trying to accomplish here at Crash Testing. I don't think that was happening before, and it was almost like a dictatorship. And I won't use the I was in a meeting last night and somebody brought up Hitler. And unfortunately, we didn't slaughter anybody or any race of people, but that's how it felt. It just felt like you really didn't fucking matter. That's the bottom line. Before, you didn't matter at Crash Test. You just didn't. And that's how I felt.
That goes to who was running it back then.
And
But
that's what I'm saying.
All he cared about was getting his product on television so he can make as much money as he possibly could and put as much coin in his pocket before the authorities caught up to him. And that's all he cared about. He did not care about the locker room. He didn't care about the staff. He didn't care about the ring announcers, the commentators, the ring crew people. He didn't care. Me, I have from day one, I have tried to build a company, and this is why I fought so hard to get it back, because this is the company that it is now is the one that I wanted it to be back then. This is the greatest freaking job on the face of the planet. It is a job. And that's what some of these kids don't realize, is that if you want to do anything with it, you have to treat it as a job. But it is the greatest job on the face of the planet. And I want everybody that steps foot in Crash Tested Wrestling to feel comfortable, to feel at home, to feel like they can approach anybody with questions, concerns, ideas, or anything. Everybody that I have working for me, if you come up to them and you give them an idea that is better than what they had planned, they will integrate it into what they're doing and give you total credit for it. They won't even try to say, oh yeah, we had this thought, you know, we changed it in mid-play and yeah, this is what we came up with. No, they'll say, no, that dude over there had this great ass idea and we're going to roll with it. So nobody gets shafted either. Everybody gets credit for their idea and their input and what they put into the crash tested product. And that's where I believe that I have created that environment where people can breathe, as C-Red said, and collaborate together well.
That and it you can tell in the product. You can tell in the product. You can tell in the shows. You can tell in the way that it's represented nowadays. It's good again. It's great again. I want to bring
It's verging on great. We'll say it's verging.
We're getting there. We're getting there. I want to bring Rachel into this because I don't believe I'm not now? Yeah, you get to speak now. Sorry for the delay.
I believe it. I've been noticing this. She hasn't been a part of this, but now we're up to the modern crash tested, which you have participated in, so we can get your input.
I don't know. I mean, did you ever get to see a crash tested show back in the day, or has your first experience been what's happening now?
My first experience was, I think, late, mid to late 2021.
But we relaunched in May of 2021. So, yes.
I think it was in like August.
Yes.
It was in late.
Destiny. She was at Destiny Reborn. Destiny Bound Night 2, Andy made it, but the next show they were both there.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was the other way around. I think
Might have
I
been.
went with him. Yeah, I went with him, and then I wasn't there the next one. And then I showed up and I walked right up to Steve and said, "You should tell Jed to make me your commentary partner."
And I did.
I said,
And
what a
you
great
did.
idea.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's always been it was kind of like the first backstage I was ever a part of outside of SCW. And it's always a good time, it's always a good show. It's a bit unfortunate that like with my surgeries and with my scheduled derby, I had to miss just about all of the last year, but it's definitely a place I'd want to be at again and just kind of see how the stories keep growing.
So now that we know that you came in mid to late 2021, what are your impressions of the way things? And I know you missed a bunch, but from the first night you were there, Cactus Rack was well represented, and you've been on commentary, you've seen it all. What is your perception of what you've said? And I know you talked a little bit about it, but you have seen a lot. I mean, you've seen super wrestlers. You are uniquely qualified to answer the question. In comparison to all the things you do, where does CTW as far as entertainment value and what you have seen?
Oh, it's pretty high up there. It's like I touched on, it's always a good show. You can tell there's a lot of creative minds at work, and like speaking to what Jed said is that people are willing to take an idea that they hear from somebody else and give the credit, but also integrate it. And collaborative creativity is usually the best that you're going to see, because no one's in it just for themselves. They're in it to make the product worthwhile for everyone, and that's going to continue to lead to success as they go on.
She may not get to talk a lot, but when she does, it's impactful.
Cut in there. Thank you.
I saved my words.
That's amazing. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the past, we've talked about the present, we talked a little bit about where we've come from and where we're going. Let's talk a little bit about the future as it pertains to Destiny 5. Rion has been throwing up graphics, so let's just start talking about them. Up there, I'm sorry.
On that, but I'm going to be straight up. I cannot do better than John Bullard did on the last episode. John Bullard did a spectacular job hyping up this event, and I just want to give him a shout out and a thank you for doing such a spectacular job talking about Destiny.
Well, when you brought John Bullard in to be not only ring announcer, but to be part of the creative team that stirs the drink, that was a really, really savvy move, because John has his finger and see Red, as well. The people that do things there it's a great mix of wrestling savvy and wrestling genius, because when you lay out these shows and you make these matches and you book this talent, if there's no rhyme or reason going on, it's just people dancing and doing their thing. Stories are important. Storytelling is key. And that's one of the things that Crash Tested does really well. It's, the stories have a long game to them. You're not going to get everything all at once. It makes you want to come back and see what's going to happen next. And that's the best kind of storytelling.
And this Destiny epitomizes that, because these stories have been building for the better part of 2 years.
Right. My story at Destiny started when Cody James and Chris Miller slammed my head into the commentary table while Cameron laughed it off. So,
At Destiny.
At Destiny. So this story started, I said a calendar year ago. It's been more than that. It's been 2 years. But I was pretty relaxed in the hot tub. So, and the beverages are flowing. So that's neither here nor there.
It does take a little longer when you run every other month. So
it
why
does.
that's another reason why every other year.
But again, there it is right there. We'll talk about Muggsy and Turtle in a minute. But it's me versus Cameron in a attraction match. It's my job versus the ironclad contract. Someone is going to end up walking away disappointed. And if it's me, if it's me that takes the loss, I'm okay with it. As long as Cameron is beaten to the point where he understands the legacy of this company, because that's the thing that I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for the fact that he has no understanding of what's really important. He wants to be the guy. He wants to be the faction. He wants to make the money. He wants to be that guy, the Don. He's a head case, this one. And he doesn't understand that there are those of us that think of things in a different way, that pride is there, passion is there, determination. The fact that we have spent, darn near a decade trying to make something great and have had nothing but a hard time from step one to step now. And, from Destiny 1 and losing you to Destiny 2 having the highest of highs, to Destiny 3 watching the wheels come off and have it all fall apart, to Destiny Reborn to have recaptured that magic and maybe even made it greater, to now where, an idiot is trying to take control of everything. It just is, it's one of those situations and one of those matches that, it would be great to win it and shut him up and get him out finally. But if I don't win and I can teach him the importance of honor and legacy, then maybe that's as good as winning. I don't know, but I
understand where you're coming from on that, but you have to understand my perspective on this particular match, because this match of all of them is probably the most personal for me, because he's put his hands on me as well. Yeah. Cameron Wayne, I'm referring to. And prior to the relaunch, Cameron Wayne and I used to work together, and he just trying to make a living, and we'd talk about wrestling on the daily, and I told him about the company. He was all, "Oh, this is so fun. This is so great. This is so great. I'd love to be a part of it, blah, blah, blah." And I'd be like, "Well, I'm going to need people when I get the relaunch taken care, so you can come in, we'll put you on commentary, we'll see what you can do." And it didn't take 3 shows for his head to start planning, not necessarily, like an NWO takeover situation, but he wants to be the center of all attention. He wants to have the spotlight on him, which should be on his group more than him, but he wants it on him.
Yeah, just ask Teddy Love.
I did this. I run the most dominant faction. I have all of this power in this company. And to be arrogant enough to put his hands on referees, on general managers, on owners, and his lawyer, Mr. Schultz, slipped a little affidavit, a little amendment to his contract, to Cameron's contract when he originally signed it, that slipped by us, that stated that he cannot be fired for any reason. That was a slick move. He got one by us, and he has been taking advantage of it ever since. And that is why this is personal for me. I need you to win. I need that ironclad contract to be gone. If you lose, you may not be general manager anymore, but as far as I'm concerned, you're always going to be a commentator in Crash Tested. You've been one of the major voices of it since its inception. But I need you to win this one, Steve.
Well, I am going to go there with the intention of mopping the floor with him. It's not going to be a hammerlock drop kick.
Oh, I wouldn't expect it to be.
It's not going to be anything.
Cameron probably wouldn't even know what a headlock is.
No, it's just going to be me tackling him and pummeling him. And
I might even sit commentary for that one. I'd like to watch it.
I'm not looking for points. I'm not looking for anything other than to get my hands on him and make him see my way. So again, I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to happen nonetheless. And that's just one of the stories that is coming to fruition at Destiny 5. Rion, what do we got next? Since Rion is the man with the graphic, we'll just keep going off. We'll talk about his graphics as he brings them up. But like I said, it's the job versus the contract, and we're going to see who's stronger. We're going to see who is more resolute in getting their point across. I am pretty resolute. I'll say that.
This was, I think this was more of a spur of the moment. I was thinking emotionally rather than logically when I did this one, because I remember what the Plague were like when they came in the first time. I remember hearing the stories of when the Plague fell apart and how Ace Bradley and BOW virtually tried to kill each other. And then, by sheer happenstance, the fans voted for these guys to be a part of this tournament, and they both showed up a month apart. And in the locked out Heaven Through Hell match, they end up getting crossed by High Society and ARC in some way, shape, or form. Now, I think it was Marche Rocket that eliminated BOW, which was what led up to their match in May at Collision Course. But because of Marche's issues, ARC got involved, costing BOW the victory, which puts ARC on his hit list. Ace Bradley gets hit in the back of the head with a sledgehammer from Chris Miller, to not High Society's on his hit list. So when that whole thing went down at the end of the night, and I'm standing in the ring and I'm looking at High Society on one side, looking at ARC on the other side, and I have Ace Bradley in one corner and BOW in the other, I think I just blurted it out. I don't even think I thought about it. I just said, can you guys coexist? I need this kind of dominance to face these two factions that are trying to bull each other into the top slot. I just hope that I didn't dig my own grave again.
Nope, you did it just the way I thought and said from day one that it should be done. I have been begging you, I have been pleading with you to bring back the originals. And it didn't happen exactly the way I wanted to, but you can't write a story.
I didn't want to bring them back. They tried to kill each other. BOW chokeslammed Ace Bradley through a cage that was sitting on top of the ring. The danger level that these two bring to any card, any roster, any locker room, it's enormous.
Makes you a little nervous, doesn't it?
But when Ace Bradley and BOW separately came in for this tournament, I'm like, okay, let's just hope to God they don't draw each other. And then when the Heaven Through Hell match took place, I'm like, okay, nothing overtly happened here. But when I gave them the two singles matches at the next show, boom, they're right in the middle of everything. And like I said, in the heat of the moment, I just saw High Society and ARC on each side of the ring, and I needed somebody to take care of them.
How about this? What if the Plague reunite and are the Plague once more?
They've agreed to it.
What does that mean for everybody else involved, because Miller and Schultz, Steele, and I don't care who his partner is, there are no men in this match that can deal with the plague, period.
Well, real quick, D'Angelo Steele, ARC. Is it really the ARC without C-Red? Because I've been hearing all week, the whole past year and a half since the ARC came back to CTW. C-Red has said the ARC's reach is infinite. There's no bottom to it. They can call on a million different people. But without C-Red at the helm of the ARC, do they still have that reach? Or as he said, will they bring in somebody new? Will they recruit somebody without Red's permission, since he's no longer a part of the ARC? So
I don't buy it.
I don't know. The only one I do know is that I have received notice, even though the graphic is on the screen, that Eric Schultz will be in court that day. Convenient. Eric Schultz.
Schultz ain't even going to be there. How very high society.
He's probably handling some parking tickets at Cameron's.
He's handling something all right.
But it's already been confirmed that Nick Diamond, win, lose, or draw, will be joining Chris Miller in that match.
Oh, so
win, lose, or
Kara's
draw
got a twosome. Kara's got a twofer, huh?
He's the only other member of high society. So
there you go. That's the important thing. The only other member.
Cody is no longer a part, and he's already in the main event for the heavyweight title. So
Cody country has been established. So
we have a lot of combustible elements here. You have high society, who don't normally tag team together because it used to just be CNC Destruction. So how will Miller and Diamond coexist as a tag team? I mean, then you have the question mark with the ARC. It's
C and K. It's C and K Destruction. Chris and Karen.
And then the absolute freaking chaos that accompanies the plague. So that's going to be one combustible match. That's for sure.
It's been true for 20 years, and it will be true until the day he stops doing this. You never know the end game of one C-Red. There is nothing he does without purpose, reason, and a plan. Nobody knows that better than me.
Oh. Unmute. There you go.
What happened? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
What you say?
I heard my name.
I'm done with that other business.
I've danced to this tune before. That's right. C-Red is not a member of the ARC. I get it. It's been a tough couple of months.
We'll get to that when we talk about the main event.
Well,
but
just remember who you're dealing with, Jed. Just remember who you're dealing with.
I know. I believe me, Cameron 2 years ago threw a monkey wrench in what I thought I was going to get out of him, but I now know what I'm getting from just about everybody that works at Crash Tested Wrestling.
Jed, have I ever kidnapped you?
No.
I did not say that you were as bad as Cameron. I said I know what I'm dealing with.
No, I'm just saying, but Steve is over here. Oh, don't trust him. Don't.
I never said that. I never said don't trust him. I said, C-Red, you never know what the end game is. He doesn't waste motion. Nothing is done.
We'll talk about the end game when we get to the main event.
We'll talk about the end game, but
how about that?
I just know how I know this story. I know how it ends.
No, don't. No.
Throw up another one, Rian.
We'll move on. We'll move on. That's going to be a great match. It's going to be great to see the plague terrorize and run those fools right out of Crash Tested Wrestling. I'll be glad to be on commentary, perhaps for said.
Yeah, I'll manage. No, I won't. I ain't gonna manage.
This one I'm definitely interested in because up until I believe it was it January? Yeah, it was January at Ground Zero. Nick Diamond had been undefeated up until that point. But he drew Ace Bradley in that tournament. And Ace Bradley gave him his first pinfall loss in Crash Tested Wrestling. And I think that has shaken his confidence. I also believe that's why he hasn't defended that championship in so long. He's afraid to lose it. As long as he's got that title, he means something. I think he's terrified to lose it.
Well, he ought to be terrified in this match because this one doesn't end well for Mr. Diamond. Diamond is really good.
He's great. Don't get me wrong.
He could be better without the influence of high society. He could be a main event player. He already is.
That young man has all the talent that you could possibly ask for, all the potential and all of the ability you possibly ask for from a young talent. And that's what John Bullard said about him on the last show was spot on.
Yep.
This young man has got nothing but bright things in his future as long as he keeps his head on straight and does this industry the right way. However,
he's going to get killed. Jay Thunder's going to kill this boy.
I brought Jay Thunder in to be your personal bodyguard one night after they bounced your head off the table.
And he was a good one.
That young man walked in the door and walked up to me, shook my hand, and I said, damn, that boy big. I look at Diamond with all of the potential and all of the ability and talent he has. He's the champion, so he is capable of pulling out a miracle victory here.
Nope.
But when you look at Jay Thunder and how tall and how massive this man is, and the matches that he's had with BOW, he wrestled twice in one night and still took BOW to the fucking limit. Apologize for the curse. I don't know how bad, but
he red curses like a sailor.
And he has done nothing but impress me every time he is in the ring. And at the last event, it was Turtle Thunder versus High Society or Diamond Law, as they are now known.
Worst tag team name ever.
We don't make the names, okay? Whether people want to.
We should make the names rather than run with a name like that.
Not everybody just goes around and says, okay, this is your name, this is who you are, and go out and rest. No. I want people to be who they are, and there are a couple of shiesty good for nothings.
You want to know who Nick Diamond's going to be? Ex-champion.
And Jay Thunder popped up Eric Schultz, and he gave him a forearm, not a pounce, a forearm, and nearly sent Eric Schultz out of the ring. I will pull up the footage.
You're right. You're not wrong.
He nearly bounced out of the ring. So Nick Diamond has one hell of a challenge in front of him. If he walks out of there with retaining that championship, I will be impressed as hell.
He's going to be a stain after this is over. Jay Thunder in what might be the fastest match in Crash Tested history. What do we have next, Rian? What do we have next?
Actually, I would put the fastest match with Schultz versus Sean Danger, but that was 5 straight matches.
That's because Sean. And here we go. It's the ladies' match.
These two ladies have disappointed me. They have. I mean, granted, Renee is part of the ARC, so the ARC is not exactly above board with everything they do ringside. But these two ladies were put in a match. Well, I take it back. Let me rephrase. Vega Venom was brought in by Team Payback at Crash Givings last year. And because Renee was a part of Team ARC. Guys ain't gonna get in there and beat crap out of a woman, even if it is Renee Van Peebles.
No, don't let her hear you say that.
Oh, I've seen Renee take out guys, but a gentleman don't beat up women. And I know it's 2023, but what do you want me to say? Go in there and slap a hoe?
Okay, Dice Man.
Hey,
I'm just confused as how you got to that extreme.
because
They go in there and slap a hoe.
C-Red had that face like, shit, I know girls, they wanted to, girl wrestlers to want to get in there and beat the fuck out of a guy. And guys
No, I know where you were going with this. And again,
I was raised a gentleman. You do not lay your hands on a woman.
Well, I technically didn't lay my hand on her. I just lowered my lower region to her lower region and got the pinfall. That's all.
Anyway, these two they Vega Venom got pinfall elimination.
Jed, you are lucky I can't find a photo of someone slapping a hoe. You are so lucky. You are so lucky.
You call up Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Oh, that's not right. That is wrong. Rachel is completely justified in saying, when did you go to extremes? That's hilarious.
As a professional, company owner, I try to stay professional all the time.
Walk that line, Jed. You got to walk that line.
I got to walk that line, but sometimes if I'm just being me, yeah, I can say some outlandish shit.
Don't be you. Not tonight.
It's not even outlandish. It's just ridiculous.
What, a guy getting in there and slap?
You could have gone anywhere in the middle. Anywhere in the middle. And you chose slap a hoe.
Wow.
It was the face C-Red was giving me, okay?
Wow.
It wasn't one of those, women can
for
compete
fuck's
too.
sake.
I know women can compete. He gave me that look like, shit.
I mean, don't get me wrong. In 20 years, there have been times where I've had to put my hands. Hell, one of my favorite pictures, and I don't have it on my phone. Oh, I hate it. I had to fight my ex-wife. She was my present wife at the time, and I had to put her in a place. I had to show her, yes, I'm the king in the house, and I'm the king in the ring. Understand?
You're not going in the good direction.
Hey, I'm just saying.
We're going to be rebuttal.
She had to learn. She learned the hard way.
However, it was my decision to have team payback, put in a phone call for somebody to come in to step up to Renee Van Peebles, and they called Vega Venom. And because Vega got the pinfall over Renee, I made the match for January for them to face off one-on-one. I didn't know Renee was going to take that pinfall so seriously because she ended up brawling to the outside with Vega. And even as the referee was counting 8, Renee had a shot at getting back into the ring and winning the match, but decided, no, I want to keep beating on her because of this loss I took. And they wound up getting a double count out. And I'm like, what? No, that's not how this is going to play out. Now, I didn't walk out and restart the match, but I made the match for March for them to face off again. Little did I know that they would get so frustrated at each other that when the referee tried to separate them, they would both kick them in the nuts at the same time. Double disqualification. I feel sorry for the referee.
So yeah, tell him to mind his own business.
That is his business. He's a referee. Nevertheless, double disqualification. So I'm like, okay, you guys have this beef. You have this situation. You can't control yourselves. You can't do this without, breaking the rules. I'll just take the rules away for you two. That's why we have Renee Van Peebles versus Vega Venom in a street fight so that they can beat the hell out of each other for however long they want, and it doesn't end until somebody gets pinned or submitted.
It is very much a Destiny feel for this match. It's the final solution for these two ladies, and Ho will definitely be smacked at some point. You can bet on that. Can't keep looking at that picture. Rian, what's up next other than this picture? That's probably going to get us canceled.
Can you stop using that phrase?
Oh, that's the phrase of the days.
Is it?
I think so. I am
Okay.
not terribly familiar with Jared Estrada.
Jared Estrada came in as a draw for the tournament, and he faced, I want to say he faced Eric Schultz, and he was very impressive. He's a rookie. He hasn't been in a whole long time, but he was impressive. So I gave him a slot in the Heaven Through Hell tournament, and he actually drew number 2. He started off with Gunner. Gunner Brave and him started off, and for the first 60 seconds of that match, he impressed.
That's right. Now I remember.
So,
boy, he's got some trouble brewing. He's not gonna fare well against his opponent here. Strong is just that, and Strong has been a crash tested superstar for a long time.
you talk about crash tested originals.
Yeah,
Mike Strong is the quintessential original. He was at the very first show, July 2014.
Smash and Flash. I'm gonna leave it there.
And it was his first
tag
match in the
teams
business
of all time.
So Mike Strong has a very close personal spot in my heart.
And why haven't we reunited the Smash and Flash? Why haven't we done that?
Just because I own the place doesn't mean like I could just call somebody and say, hey, we're putting your tag team back together, get your butt to the show. No.
Red,
Flash
get clap them cheeks up here.
And Strong has to contact me and say, hey, we want to do this. If they contact me and tell me they want to do it, I'd be willing to do it in a heartbeat.
Red heard that. Red, pass that along.
I will let him know in the morning.
Tell clap them cheeks to make a decision.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, a few people know this, but shortly after the relaunch, my Facebook got hacked and I had to start a new Facebook, and I haven't been able to find Flash Harris on there to send a friend request to.
That's because he's got a new name.
He's also got a little bit of a new attitude. I've seen some of the Rocket Pro and IPW stuff that he's done. He's got a very different outlook on the business these days.
Just got to look up clap them cheeks. That's where you find him on Facebook. I'm serious. That's not a joke. That's real.
I'll laugh my ass off.
Put that in your Google machine and see what happens. So Mike Strong, the quintessential original, no doubt about that. Young Jared Estrada, that's going to be one of those matches. Again, it's the legacy that I've been talking about. The past, the future, coming together in a destiny moment. And that's what makes the magic happen. So that's a match I'm looking forward to. What else we got, Rian? I know we got some more. We haven't even gotten to the main event yet, which is a main event for the ages, which we'll talk about. There he is.
Muggsy James won a victory over the then Michael Pierce. He now goes by Pierce, which we'll discuss him in a moment.
Didn't I suspend that guy?
In a moment. But he picked up a victory. And again, another one of those. He wasn't necessarily on my radar. He was voted in by the fans to come in for the tournament. Brought him in. Highly impressive. I love this kid a lot. And he's had other bookings and other obligations. So this is his first time back since that victory. And I'm thrilled to have him back. And I'm planning on bringing him back as much as he would like to. Turtle, known Turtle since almost the beginning as well. And he's a great referee. He's an absolute great referee. And he's one of the most passionate wrestlers that I've ever seen. He wants to be as good as he can possibly be in that ring. And he will fight, and he'll fight until he has nothing left to give. But Muggsy, he's vicious. He's gonna have some trouble trying to pull a victory out on Muggsy.
Well, Jed, you talk about the plague and you're not sure you made the right decision there. With Muggsy James, you have now opened a portal into the world of the family. And
I'm aware.
You gotta watch yourself because like inviting a vampire into your house, when you invite the family into your house, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we saw what happened in ARW over the weekend with those boys. The Ivan Mansons of the world might be gone, but the next generation of family includes Muggsy James. And, if he decides he likes crash tested wrestling and wants to make it his turf, you might be seeing
I have another
Charlie Jr. doing this business.
Another issue on my hands. But yeah, I'm pulling for Turtle because I'm don't give me that look, Red. I'm pulling for Turtle because the man has all the passion and drive and desire to be as good as he can be. And I have always had a soft spot for underdogs because I've been the underdog for the last 10 years.
Is this the freaking Army?
What? The underdog's got to do with the Army.
Be all you can be.
He wants to be the best he can be. If that's gonna, and he does wear, Army green. He's a turtle, but it is Army green.
I'm just saying, dude.
Does Turtle know that he's the underdog?
That's why I love Turtle so much. He would.
And he doesn't know.
Turtle's gonna listen to this and he's gonna be pissed.
He'd walk in there with Cody James. He'd walk in there with Marche if he had to, and he would believe up here.
Well, that's ominous and fortuitous.
And I'm sorry, it's been proven throughout wrestling history. The little man can get the victory. Unlikely as it may be, it is possible. And he doesn't focus on the unlikely. He focuses on the possibility that it can happen, and he's going to make it happen.
Somebody tell Rey Mysterio he can make it happen. He can get that win.
I know you just did not compare Turtle.
We just compared Turtle to Rey Mysterio. Oh my God, he's gonna snapshot
little
this.
guy can beat the giant. Rey Mysterio.
Turtle Mysterio. We've got a thing. He's gonna start hitting. He's gonna change the shell shock to the. I think he's the 312. I think that's
219.
That's Indiana. Turtle lives in Chicago.
Well, that's where CTW is. The 219.
Right. So Turtle's gonna hit him with a 219.
Trippies maneuver.
Please put up another flyer, Rion. Please.
Come on.
Yeah, let's move this along.
You don't think he's Rey Mysterio-esque?
Next flyer, please, Mr. Steels.
Poor Turtle.
My Turtle fandom only goes so far.
Turtle fandom only goes so far.
Rion
is doing lots of work tonight. You know how many photos he's put up here?
I know.
He's probably driving while he's doing this too.
I pray to God he's not driving.
Yeah, I hope he's not.
He might be.
He might be, but I pray to God he's not. I pray to God.
They moved on. I got to pull over again.
We can't just. He's not made to order. He's got other things he's doing. Rion's a very busy man.
Everybody's busy.
Clearly.
I'm not.
I'm not either. This is why this is my busy right now. Is this?
All right,
podcast.
so we won't wait for Rion. We'll move on to the next one. You had
As far as
mentioned,
I'm aware, the next one's going to be Pierce versus Donnie. There it is.
yeah, there it is.
Versus Dazzling Donnie.
That's where I was going.
Donnie picked up a victory in the tournament, and your latest pet project, Pierce, who as of late has been throwing Christian-esque tantrums over his losses, kicking garbage cans, throwing hissy fits because he's been on this losing streak ever since he faced Nick Diamond for the Chasing Destiny title twice. And then at the Heaven Through Hell match, he gets eliminated and decides, I'm going to slide back in and just take out my frustrations on whoever the hell's standing in front of me. Ends up eliminating Jared Estrada and Sean Danger, if I'm not mistaken. And after he exits the ring and heads to the back, you stopped him, rightfully so. I agree with the call. I support you 1,000,000%. I think it gets done way too often that no repercussions happen to these people that get back in the ring after being eliminated and cause somebody else to get eliminated. It's BS. So I stand by your decision. You suspended Pierce indefinitely. Apparently you had a good day and decided to lift his suspension.
Oh, I didn't lift anything. This was not done by my hand. He tried to intimidate me online today.
And then how is he on the card? I wouldn't have put him on the card if he
I was going to ask you the same question, Mr. CEO.
Well, you're just putting out a beautiful representation of our communication skills.
But he's got a timeout.
No, I'm just you know what? I got nothing. I'm gonna let this one float in the air. Let it float in the air. Just let it be there.
Okay, well, I'll talk to you so I get this straightened out. But he got on the card, and Dazzling Donnie, again, close to the heart. Actually, one of the guys I've seen Renee beat down, but Donnie coming back to Crash Test of Wrestling is a cool thing for me. And this is one of those veteran situations where hopefully he gives Pierce a couple of lessons in respecting the process. So I'm very interested to see how this one's going to turn out.
It's going to be a hell of a match. He had some choice things to say online today, but we'll let him put up or shut up. Dazzling Donnie is on a roll right now.
Thank you, Rion.
That's the new name. That's the new name of the ARC.
That's the title for this episode.
The Slap A Hoe tribe. Moving on.
Oh, Lord.
Before we get to
For any future guests of this show, one tiny phrase can be prolonged for 2 hours.
2 hours.
Be careful what you say.
Hey, it happens every week. Something gets said and it turns into the name of the
We've
show.
already discussed that one.
Yeah, we discussed that one. The Slap A Hoe show.
We're up to the main event now.
No, we're not. No. We're going to leave that for last.
That is last.
Well, yeah, but we've got to talk about the special guest.
Oh, my apologies. As we're talking about matches, yes, of course, Rhino is going to be in attendance, and
that's huge.
Listen, like I said, it's destiny. This is where the big things happen. I'm not saying that any other event that Crash Test puts on is small and insignificant, because everything that we do is integral into everything that we do each event afterwards. We tell stories. We paint pictures. We, as professional wrestlers in general, we are artists. What we do is an art form. And for the past 2 years, we have been painting this picture from Destiny 4 to Destiny 5. And with as big as this card has culminated, I felt that it needed a little star power. Not to say take anything away from Marche and Cody of the NWA, but somebody to witness this, maybe pass it along to the rest of the places that he works for, whatever. So I gave a call, and it was that, I'll tell you, here's a weird story, and it actually ties into Destiny, because it had to be Destiny for Rhino to be here. I contacted Rhino 2 years ago to potentially be a part of Crash Tested Wrestling moving forward, as whether it be the next whatever. I messaged him on Messenger, never got back to me. I just figured he doesn't check Messenger, he doesn't check his Facebook. Some of these guys, they don't do Facebook, they do Instagram, Twitch, all that, whatever. And I went to another event where I met Christopher Daniels, and I was talking to Christopher Daniels about potentially being a part of Crash Tested Wrestling, and hopefully through him, being able to bring in some other talent and whatnot. I emailed Christopher Daniels probably, when was this? Without pulling up my phone, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago. Actually, I take it back. It was about 6 months ago. And after emailing him, and I got no response, out of the blue, a year and a half after the fact, Rhino returned my message. No response for a year and a half. And then he all of a sudden, he knew I was looking for somebody to come be a part of this big event in the psychic world, I will say. And he returned my message after a year and a half. So I was like, okay, I guess it's not Christopher Daniels. Destiny has decided it will be Rhino, because he got back to me as I was looking for somebody to be a part of this event.
You almost say that Destiny has led him to the door of Crash Tested Wrestling. So
yes.
He's going to be there to sign some things and interact with the fans, which is great.
And on top of that, for any young talent out there, any talent period, I made the post on Facebook and it's been put out there, but any rookies, any trainees, students, any veterans that just want to brush up on some basics or whatever, we are holding a seminar with Rhino from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Dean and Barber White Community Center. Cost is only $30, and you'll have 2 full hours to pick the brain of this former WWE superstar.
ECW legend. So yeah, this is
current Impact Wrestling star. He's a legend all over the place. I mean, the only place I don't think he's performed at was WCW, and I might even be wrong about that. But it's an honor to have Rhino be a part of this event, be a part of Crash Tested Wrestling at all. And he's going to be welcomed with open arms and with all of the respect and admiration that we can give him.
It's going to be a great opportunity for the fans.
Due to surgery that he had in April, he will not be able, or it's either late April or early May. He will not be able to compete, but he will be there for a signing, and he will be there. I may see if he wants to do some commentary since he can't compete. And you yourself, Mr. GM, will be busy. So you will not be on commentary that night. So we'll see. And depending on how well he feels, because I believe he's returning to competition in August. So we'll be late July. Depending on how he feels, he may gore somebody. I'm not going to say he will, but he might. We'll just have to wait and see how he feels.
See Red? Will he gore See Red?
I don't know. Why would he gore See Red on the good guy's side right now?
I know, but you just never know. You never know how Rhino's going to feel.
Come out and see the legend. Come out and see the future. Come out and witness.
He's on Teddy Long's payroll.
The pinnacle of what Crash Tested has to offer.
All right, let's bring up the main event.
Now we're up to the main event.
It is a main event for the ages. Save the best for last.
which directly affects and involves Mr. C. Red. This is a story that quite frankly, I didn't see it going down this way. I really didn't. We'll keep talking about it because we know what's going on. But C. Red has kind of been a little back and forth on this. Because he came in as a partner with Marche Rocket against CNC Destruction. That was that event with the Soul Touchers you were referring to. And then other personal influences. Yes, he got an award for the Tag Team of the Year. But by that time, the ARC had come in, and C. Red's allegiances had actually shifted away from the Soul Touches. He didn't even acknowledge Marche when he got the award. He literally just grabbed it and skipped around the ring and took off. And over the course of the next year and a half, ARC is not physically with C. Red, I should say, physically interjecting in Marche's matches, but C. Red slipped in the back door on an event that Marche couldn't do and got Miles Mercer into a sweet spot where he got the heavyweight championship and has been helping Miles retain that championship for it's been a year now. It's been a little over a year now. Yeah, well, Red, whatever your excuse may be, you did do it. But when the closer it came for Miles to face Marche, and Red started to realize that he was going to be put in a predicament, I think reality started to set in. You can correct me anytime I'm wrong here, Red, but I'm pretty sure due to your actions that you felt a conflict of interest here.
Actions, reactions, consequences.
And this is the consequences of his actions over the past year and a half. It put Miles and Marche on a direct course together and put Red in a position that he didn't want to be in.
And now you add Cody James to the mix.
I was getting there. Cody James has faced Marche Rocket twice. Once in the original tournament in Destiny Bound Night 2 to crown a new world champion, as well as Hollowed Pursuits later.
The popcorn edition. We well remember the popcorn window
where he fought for the title when Marche was the champion. He came up short both times, and Cody James, being gone for I want to say almost 6 months, made his most anticipated return at Lucked Out in the Heaven Through Hell match, and traversed the entire match, climbing the ladder and retrieving the contract. Now, this isn't WWE, so we don't give a calendar year, and you don't get to pick and choose your time. You get to face the champion at the very next event. So, Cody James versus Miles Mercer. Now, while all the high society and ARC shenanigans are taking place earlier on in the event, Cody James gets a one-on-one for the title. And as he has so many times in the past, the young man he's a step or two ahead of Nick Diamond. He's got all of the talent in the world. He does not need to use these tactics. He does not need to cheat to retain his title. But apparently he feels like he does. So yet again, he hits Cody James with his crown and gets himself disqualified. And oh my God, how hell freaking breaks loose.
All hell broke loose.
I mean, first of all, the high society gets up in the ring and decides we're going to freaking, oh, well, Cody wants to do this by himself. He's going to do it all by himself, and decides to turn on him and starts beating him down. ARC's over in the corner laughing their butts off because Miles retained his title and gets to watch his opponent get beat up by his own friends. And it's all chaos. Marche comes in. He's trying to not necessarily come to Cody's rescue per se, but to get his hands on the ARC, who were standing there laughing at him, getting his ass beat. And then you still got 5-on-2. Now, what happened next? That was what kind of caught me off guard. C-Red came running out with a chair and stood back to back with Marche Rocket again. His son, C-Red's legitimate shoot son, D'Angelo Steele, is part of the ARC now. And he had to think long and hard about what he did next, because there's no real going back from what he did. He hit Miles with the chair, no problem. And he had to think long and hard. But because the ARC is threatening the legacy, as we've been talking about all episode, of the Soul Touches and his relationship with Marche, had decided to hit D'Angelo with the chair as well. Now, because of everything that's taken place over the past freaking months, Renee Van Peebles, Vega Venom, Ace Bradley, BOW, Jay Thunder, everybody's coming out of the woodworks, and the brawl just ensues, and I couldn't take it anymore, so I put my foot down, put it down, and I said, this is enough. 2 years this has been going on. I'll let you take over for now.
It all comes down to Destiny 5. It all comes down to the playground of C-Red, NWA superstar. Oh, we got a timeout on the field. Yes, Red.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson, for that cute way you put it. I appreciate it.
I just hope Marche hasn't put his trust in the wrong person again.
Uh-oh.
Never. Here's the thing. You guys have to understand. I've said it publicly. He knows it. I've said it on here thousands of times. If there was no Marche, there would have been no C-Red. If it wasn't for Marche. You know, a lot of my success in this business has been because of Marche. Again, do I get cocky sometimes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I a jerk sometimes?
Yeah.
Am I an ass sometimes?
Hell yeah.
But friends are, in this business, you know, few and far between. So when you're trying to shit on, as you guys have talked about, the legacy of the Soul Touches, as far as the ARC, because Steve does it all the time. Oh, it's the ARC and it's this the Soul Touches, and no. I will always be a toucher first. Always. The Soul Touches are what got me to the dance.
But that's what brought on this issue, is they've collided. It was at Crash Givings in the 5-man elimination.
Yeah,
Miles asked you for the title so he could hit Marche, and you refused to give it to him. What was going on in your mind in that particular moment when you realized that the ARC and the Soul Touches were about to collide heads?
Well, it wasn't the ARC versus the Soul Touches.
In a way, it is.
In a way, yes, but it wasn't the two groups coming together to fight each other.
No, okay, we'll give you that one.
But so you want that answer, and it's crazy that Steve never asked that question.
That's why I'm the CEO and he's the general manager.
It at that moment, I think you summed it up the best. Miles doesn't always have to go to these tactics. He doesn't. And that was a moment where he didn't have to. And by my hand, I wasn't going to help him. I wasn't going to help give him a belt so he could hit Marche. Again, I have to think about Marche's livelihood. I have to think about he has a shoot job. He has kids. He has a family. He has a wife. Like, dude, you give this dude a concussion. What happens? You know, what happens? He's got NWA the next week, and now he has to tell them he can't. You know, that weighs on my conscience. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't, you know, and as of late, Miles has been real fucking cocky. You know, Miles is, you know, acting like he is not only the king of the whole show, but he's the king of the ARC. But not realizing, bro, you didn't start this group. It was me and Aaron Xavier. You were just a somebody we saw and said, hey, okay, we'll pick you up and make you our own. Again, y'all showed the graphic earlier. Can't get a pre-show. Bro, that means by the time the rest of us were getting dressed to go out, you had already been out and getting redressed. Like, come on now. Like, you know, so
Miles is gonna love that.
oh, what am I supposed to say? I mean, again, you asked for the truth, you finally getting it, you know. So I will always, you know, you even brought up my son. Hey, you know, but one thing children have to learn is that I don't give a fuck how grown you are. That sometimes you need your ass whooped. And you need your ass whooped by your parents. So, you know, again, everybody, you know, I talked about it at the beginning of the show. You guys let me indulge. But again, this generation thinks they're owed something. They think just give it to me. Just give it to me. Well, that particular night, they got what's coming to them. And
That's all I
unfortunately,
agree with.
you know, it was almost, I don't want to say Frankenstein, but I had to kill the monster I created. And come on the 22nd of July, we will cut the monster's head off. Unfortunately, Cody is going to have to be a casualty. You know, and it's nothing
Well,
against.
that's official then, because when I got done making all the announcements, I made it clear that the ARC, the High Society, anybody that's involved in any of these little groups are barred from ringside the entire night unless you, I mean, during the matches, they are barred from ringside unless you are a licensed manager, which right now only consists of yourself and Cameron Wayne. But after I made that announcement, there was, you know, a look and a handshake between you and Marche. Are you planning on being in Marche's corner in this event?
I'm officially in Marche's corner.
All right.
The touch is right again, baby. And this time again, you know, I'm staying out of it. You know, that, you know, if the only way Miles wins this is he has to win clean.
That's
Which
why I made the triple threat.
which we know he won't.
There's virtually no rules in the match. So
You know.
he can cheat, but it's not cheating. But he has to compete with Big Cody James and Big Marche Rocket 2-on-1 virtually because they both want his head.
So I never normally give my strategy, right? I never give my strategy away. But tonight I'm gonna be kind. And I hope Miles does watch this. Miles is gonna be so focused on me and pissed at me. He's gonna forget about Cody and Marche. He's gonna forget.
Well, if Marche pins Cody or Cody pins Marche, he still loses that title.
And again, will I be devastated if Cody won? No, I wouldn't be happy. But that's not the game plan. The game plan is to go in and Marche become, once again, crash tested wrestling champion.
Much as I appreciate what Cody has done over the last couple of events, I would agree with you on that because of how many times Marche has been screwed out of the championship over the course of the past year and a half.
And that's very true. And I know some of that. You got to understand, with age comes wisdom. And again, you know, if God forbid I leave this earth tomorrow, I need a clear conscience knowing that I did right by Marche. So, you know, it's as simple as that. You know, plain and simple. This will be a hell of a main event. And anybody watching, please go buy your tickets. You know, hell, I don't care if you know
They are available on eventbrite.com.
Eventbrite.com. Hell, blow the shit up out of Jed. You know, blow up his Facebook page. You know, but please, y'all, stop sending messages to the crash testing site. Silly questions. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are free to send any statements, comments, or otherwise
No,
to the Facebook page.
no.
Brad needs to learn how to mute his incoming notifications.
But this will be a hell of a match. This is going to be a hell of an event. Anybody that is in Chicago, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Atlanta, Texas, California, New York, I don't give a damn where you at. You should come in and see this show. This will be one for the ages. This match itself, the main event, could be a main event anywhere in the United States, in any land abroad. So I just suggest people get those tickets, because you don't want to turn around and find out, you know, wow, I heard all this great shit and I should have went. Well, don't have any regrets in life. You only live this life one time. So make sure you're, you know, at the convention center on July 22nd for Destiny 5. You know, if you're a worker, young or old, come out, get some tips from Rhino, like who belts out, you know, the guy again, TNA, EC, he started in ECW and TNA and WWE. Like, dude, the dude has done it all. So who better to pick that brain than somebody like Rhino? And then, you know, right after, you get one hell of a show, you know. Be there.
As it was stated on the Facebook page, we have poured our heart and soul into this event, and it has been 2 years in the making. So come out and support what we have created, what we have brought together for your entertainment. And I give you my word, you will enjoy yourself. You are not going to show up and go home feeling like you've been let down. This show, I'm going to get emotional if I keep talking. Steve, wrap this thing up.
Yes, I will wrap this thing up. Don't miss this show. Destiny, it's called Destiny for a reason. The legacy has come home, and it's going to be every bit as big as it's been and bigger than it ever was. July 22nd, don't miss it. We want to thank Jed for being part of our show tonight and giving us the breakdown of Crash Tested Wrestling past, present, and future. Want to thank Rion Skills for being on his point with lots of great pictures. Want to thank the urban sensation C Red for what he did tonight, and congratulate him again for being part of NWA. That's amazing. And Rachel, the summer's half over. We're ready for knockout action again. Any updates?
Yeah, we'll be back back at practice July 23rd. I believe our bout is August 19th against the Michigan Misfits. But before that, you can see me Jello wrestling August 5th at the Room in Highland, Indiana, in support of the Iliana Derby Dames. So, bundle up all your money and get your butt over there.
Okay, somebody needs to post this on every single bar group page in the world, because every drunk motherfucker out there just said, women wrestling in Jello. Fuck yeah.
Yep.
And there you have it.
Real quick, before you do say the goodbyes, I want to give a humongous thank you to you, Steve, because normally, and I've watched many episodes of the Power Hour, normally you do not dedicate the entire episode to a single show. And I'm honored, I'm beyond honored that you have decided to pretty much dedicate this entire episode to Crash Tested. Destiny is that big, it is that important to all of us who are directly involved in it, but you didn't have to do that, and I thank you.
Well, Destiny means an awful lot to me. Red, obviously you, it means a lot to Rion. I'm sure it means a lot to Rachel as well. And we just want it to be great.
So Rachel's like, I'm not on the card, what do I care?
She cares.
Ew, Jed.
Just you know what you can do to make up for it, Jed? Buy a ticket and go see some good old-fashioned Jello wrestling.
Hey, I've been to the roller derby a few times. I love watching them girls do their thing. Absolutely go watch a roller derby.
I'm talking about the Jello wrestling now.
Well, no. The wife won't let that happen.
Uh-oh. Hey, Red.
Send your wife.
Yes, sir.
We forgot something.
Now there's an idea. Honey, you want to wrestle in Jello? No, she just shot me a the daggers. That ain't happening.
Red, can you give me some rapid fire roses real quick before we go?
Rapid fire roses. I will pay attention and I will get it out quick.
Quick.
Jed Williamson. Jed personally knows how I feels about him, but I will say it again. Jed is one of the kindest promoters out there. I love his heart. I love his spirit. I love his determination. After the shit that happened to this man, he could have said, fuck this. I'm done. I don't give a fuck. He never stopped fighting for what he believed in. And what he believes in is crash tested wrestling. And with that being said, he believes in everybody that comes through those doors. Whether you have little training to been in this business for however many years, he believes in everybody. He believes in his product, and he just wants more people to see what he sees. So on behalf of everybody in the roster, thank you, Jed, for that heart that you have. Sometimes it bites you in your ass. But 99.9% of the time, you walk away feeling happy. I saw the smile on your face at the last show, and I can see that you were pleased, and that makes me happy to know, again, we're doing something right. I love you.
You're gonna make me cry. Shit.
I love you from the bottom of my heart. You are not just a promoter. You're not just a owner. You are somebody. Again, I said it earlier. Friends in this business are far and few, but you are one of the ones I can call friend. So thank you for your friendship, your love, for being there for me when I'm going through hell. And hell, I feel a storm coming on now. So I might have to lean on you a little bit more. But thank you for everything you do for me personally, for us as a collective, as the roster. And again, thank you for taking your time tonight, when you could have been working, and coming on here and helping us talk about crash tested only the way you could. So thank you.
Gotta cry, goddammit.
I thought he was gonna pull his pants down and moon you there for a minute.
No, I would not end that beautiful speech with a freaking crass move like that. I would never insult Red like that.
All right. Jed, thank you so
maybe
much.
you, Steve, but not Red.
Not well, yeah, that's fair. Jed, thank you so much. We look forward to Destiny 5 and many more Destinies to come. You have done great things and you will continue to do them, and we appreciate you as always. You're a friend of the show, and we thank you for being on here.
Thank you, guys. I love every one of you.
Next week on this program, we have the golden voice of Chicago style wrestling, Wade Hunt, and he is going to help us break down the return from the summer break in the heat of the night, featuring Mr. Anderson. So don't miss Wade Hunt next week. It should be spectacular. And don't miss Destiny 5 coming up on the 22nd. We will talk a little bit more about Destiny next week as well as we will talk about SCW's Star Spangled event coming up also. So we got a lot to talk about next week. Thanks to Jed. And on behalf of the Power Hour, C-Red, Rachel, Rion, I'm Steve. We will see you next week. Thank you for watching as always. Good night, everybody.